man. Thank y'all for coming back. The Woodsman Perspective podcast.
We've been busy.
We've been on a theme lately. It's always we hit the ground pretty hot and heavy after the holidays with our mind on turkeys and our mind on turkey hunting, and
getting some good podcast out.
Yeah, and look, this time of year, so I'm a little bit of a hack. You know, I build some calls at home every year in the carport, and I enjoy it. And this time of year, I don't think about it the rest of the year, but until we start getting right up against turkey season, I don't really have a lot of time to do it. But I'll get out and piddling with it. But it's on my mind, and I know I'm not the only one. We're pulling those calls out, dusting that stuff off, thinking about turkey season,
ordering a couple of soundboards.
That's right. And look, Hunter set us up with a guy that the more time I spend with him, you've been associated with turkey calling and from making them and competing for a long time, hadn't you?
I've been blessed to be around the stuff for, I guess, about 35 years now, and I'm only 40, or about to be 40 in a few months.
Said he called in his first competition when he was 10.
Yeah. So this is Terence. Tough. This is Terence Williamson, and I may let you give your background. I don't want to mess it up, but that's a lifetime. That's a long time. If you think about it, if you've been in the turkey hunting, turkey calling world, a lot's happened in the last 35 years.
I'll tell you, I've been blessed to see a lot. Just outdoor industry, or if you want to call it that, it's the way people make a living now.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to grow up around it. I guess when I was 4 or 5 years old, my dad, we lived in South Alabama. We moved up here. I don't live but about 20, 25 miles from here, from Hunter, so right down the road.
County, Alabama.
But growing up, we lived in South Alabama, and my dad worked for Eddie Salter when Eddie had just won his world championships, and Dad was helping Eddie travel around at those hunting expos, and I was 4 or 5 years old just going to those hunting expos, seeing what that was all about, and it was just a fun time, and that was back when that's how people got their information. You didn't have social media, and you didn't have hunting on television yet. You had the VHS tapes, and people went to hear those seminars, and just to go to those hunting expos.
Doing seminars.
Eddie Salter was a big deal now.
Sure is.
I talked to Eddie Salter.
King of the 10-inch beard.
That's it.
Eddie Salter.
That show Paducah.
That's right.
I talked to Eddie and Harold Knight for a while, and they stood there and talked to me just like I was one of them. Like it wasn't nothing, but they still work those shows.
Oh, but I look back on it now. It was a blessing to get to grow up seeing all those people that were
icons.
You look back at the icons of the turkey hunting industry now.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, going and watching those, Mr. Eddie talked me into getting in one of them, and I've told this several different podcasts that I've been on, but I'm pretty sure I was dead last, the very first one I got in. But man, I was
somebody
hooked.
got to be.
Hey, I was hooked. I got up there and my hands were shaking. I was nervous, and I screwed up every call I did, but I enjoyed it.
But you
I've heard other people
I was 10 years old.
That's you can be ready. I'm not talking about people, veterans that have been calling them, and not 10-year-old. You were young. But people that do that, and they say that the nerves when you get out there on that stage like that to do that is unreal.
Oh, it was a rush then, and it still is now. And I've been calling in them for 30 years now, and it's still a rush. I still get nervous at the big ones when I'm up there calling, and it's not the same as having that turkey out there 20, 30 yards, getting nervous when you get ready to shoot one, but it is
different.
It's a similar rush, and I loved it then, and it was something I decided I wanted to practice at and try to get better at. And
the calling aspect of turkey hunting is something I've grown up with a love for. Like everybody here, all of us kill a lot of turkeys, and we all know that woodsmanship kills more turkeys than calling. We all know you don't have to be a great caller to go kill turkeys, but that's the part of it that I love.
Oh, yeah.
I do. Look, you don't have
that's
to.
That's what you're doing from now till turkey season comes in, is running them calls, playing with calls, listening to it.
That's the part of it I absolutely love. That interaction, that conversation, that picture you're painting with turkeys. I love it. I've never competed, but I've always loved it.
The thing about Terrence that I like, he's a friction man. I'm a friction man.
Yeah.
I don't run mouth calls. I'll hit on box a little bit, but I'm a slate man. That's what I pull out. That's what I've used my whole turkey hunting career. It pretty much has been.
You done pretty good at it.
I
ain't no doubt about that.
I just enjoy him. So.
He sounds good on them. Yeah, but that's the same thing. Growing up, I would run both in those contests starting out. But about the time I graduated high school, you started seeing more friction divisions in contests. And I was like, well, I can either try to learn how to get good on mouth calls or try to learn how to get good on friction.
You think that was because people crashing the ship kind of got out of that and they quit building box calls like they used to. Did you see that? I know you know a lot of call makers. You're around a bunch of call makers. Do you see people building box calls like they used to back,
I'll tell you, the box calls that from the last 5 or 6 years, there's some really good box call makers out there, and I think social media has been a good way to help expose some of those callers and make some of those call makers that only make 20 or 30 calls a year. It makes them more accessible for somebody from Alabama to order one from a guy in Ohio.
Right.
So a lot of that custom call stuff is from the trumpets to box calls, scratch boxes, all that stuff. It's easy to get online and find different people to order those from now. So that part of it's came a long way. But I think you started seeing more of those friction divisions back when more advancements came in those pot calls, because that's about the time, early 2000s, when I called for Woodhaven. That was the first company that I called for doing the friction call stuff. And you had the advancements in pot calls back then in Woodhaven, those Blodgett calls. There's a lot of those different companies back then, that the Cody calls you started seeing all the advancements in pot calls, and a lot more people calling in friction divisions in local contests. And
so in competition, if somebody doesn't know, let's break it down. We're talking about friction and there's open. What all is friction just slate, or is box call considered friction also?
So
what's the categories in competitive?
So you've got an open division, which you can use any kind of call in an open division, whether it's a mouth call, trumpet, any friction calls, box, slate.
Your choice.
Anything.
Open.
So a friction division has to be a call where the sound is made by friction, whether it's the striker on the calling surface or the paddle
on a box.
Going across the box.
Okay.
The sound has to be made
by friction, not air.
That's right. 2006 was the first year that they had a friction division in the Grand Nationals, and you had to be 21 to call in, because that was back when Wild Turkey Bourbon was the sponsor for the Grand Nationals, and I was 20, so I had to sit there and watch it.
Oh, man.
But I watched that first one, and I said then, because I had already placed in the Grand Nationals a few times in the intermediate stuff as I was working my way up through high school calling, and I decided it was something I wanted to focus on after watching that first friction one. And I've called in it every year. 2007 was the year that I was able to first call in it when I was old enough. I've called in it every year since. I've came in second in the Grand Nationals, actually in 08, my second year calling in it. Matt Van Cise beat me by half a point or 1 point.
How many people has Matt Van Cise beat you?
Man, there's a lot of people that they can say that same.
All of them.
But I've been blessed with several second place trophies in the different contests. But a few years ago, I guess 2019 was my best year. I was lucky enough to win the World Friction Division and the Grand National in 2019. It was the first year for the Team Air Friction Division.
Yeah.
And me and my calling partner, Hunter Wallace, from up in Pennsylvania, we called in it together. He ran the mouth calls and I ran the friction calls, and we got lucky and won it. The first year that they had it.
Probably being a little modest.
Ain't no dang love.
Look, growing up, my mom would want to run me outside all the time running
that
calls
call,
and stuff, and I still.
Amanda loves it. My wife loves it.
She don't either.
Well, see, now it's the same. I got my wife wanting to run me out to the shop to run them out, but
wing bones are her favorite when I bust them out.
But I love running calls. I don't run it near as much. Just too many irons in the fire now.
Yeah.
To
well,
do
life
like
gets busy.
It really does. But yeah, Hunter and I were lucky enough, or we were blessed to win it back to back, 2019 and 2020, on the 2-man deal.
That's awesome.
You know, we're talking.
Have they always done the team, or was that?
So there was always a 2-man team, but they used to do these scenarios where you tried to paint a picture of a hunt situation, and you had all the different other animal sounds, owls and crows, and you make it sound like the turkey got shot. Yeah. And some people loved it. It's good. It was entertaining.
Turkey caller, that would be a little bit.
It was entertaining to the crowd.
Yeah, that's right. Sales tickets.
That's right.
But I really like that, the 2-man deal, the way they do it now, because you can get up there with one of your hunting buddies or calling buddies. One of you run your mouth calls, and then one of you run the friction calls, and you just get up there with your buddy and have a good time.
And you're working back and forth with each other.
That sounds like something we live. We running a mouth call, and Chris pulls out that box.
Yeah,
we run team. We just didn't know it.
Yeah, that's right.
Walk backwards.
Just like we were talking about walking around with Dave this morning doing that. When it's what I was telling you. It was kind of cool that known Dave for a long time. We spent a lot of time together at calling contests and these different expos, but never spent any time in the woods hunting together and going and checking those traps and stuff. Man, that was fun, and it's kind of cool because the second year that Hunter and I won that deal, Dave and his partner were second.
Yeah,
we barely beat them. The next year at the contest,
you said COVID knocked you out one year.
Yeah, so Hunter and I won it in 2019 and 2020. We didn't
COVID
have
21.
Yeah,
we didn't have
right
Grand
before
National.
COVID.
Hey, it did, just
right
weeks
before the
before.
world shut down.
I think a
2020.
bunch of us might have got it while we were up there that
Yeah.
year. We all came back sick.
Yeah.
But we didn't have one in 2021 because of that. So then we came back in 22, and Hunter and I came in second that year, but we came in second to Dave and his partner, Zach. So
How about that?
so that was
That's pretty good set right there. Four people.
Look, there's a sort of theme in our conversation. So just full disclosure, we've had a really cool weekend or morning, and then last night had Dave Owen in town and Terence. Well, all of us, look, really good time. We
Bonded,
all,
yeah.
guys,
Yeah,
and it's funny in the conversations. There's such a network, such a
I was just sitting there
whatever
thinking
you
about
call
when
it,
he was talking
those
about what he's
relationships
doing,
and that overlap
about
of
how
people.
this calling competitions and then us trapping. There's so many different aspects to taking the game to hunting. You know that you don't really think about. But
What's those management tools?
yeah, but like this,
Yeah.
just like this, him do it. He's made contacts growing up his whole life. Pretty much laid
Networking.
out your network of your life. Just calling in the competitions for turkeys, not having nothing to do with hunting them.
Well, he's an engineer now with ADOT, right?
Yeah.
But like we were talking about
That's
the
right.
Linders. The Linders,
Yeah, so eating
that's
breakfast-
the people
Bob,
I know
yeah.
from Arkansas.
yeah, eating
So
breakfast
he's
this
from
morning.
Austin,
Texas.
Arkansas. That's where he's from. His
Okay.
family's from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
And then-
there's overlap there.
Yeah, we're eating breakfast this morning, and we're talking about Mr. Bob and Larry and Jamie, the Linder family, and it's crazy that we all know different
Right,
people
how
from.
those circles overlap.
met him in different
I went
ways,
hunting with Mr. Bob in Texas this year because we took my son, John Michael, to a physical therapy program, and I was just looking for a place to hunt. So through networking, I called Mr. Bob. I said, have you got a place? Because he was the closest to where we was at in Austin. He said, yeah, I got a place to hunt. Come on. So he come pick me up from what we was doing. We went and hunted on his place in Texas and was able to kill a turkey. And I was just telling Terrence about it. He's like, yeah, I know Mr. Bob. And, just – and he knows him well.
And then
Been
me and
around
you
him.
were talking. I
And
heard
then-
you went hunting, and you said something about
Yeah.
Bob or somebody. Said,
Taking pictures. Yeah, Linder.
And we got
Yeah.
talking. Well, I know Jamie, and so
It's just a small world when you get out.
and they've been
Yeah.
involved with calling.
Oh, yeah.
with the.
Well, I think
NWTF
if
call.
I ain't mistaken, didn't he judge 14 years?
Mr. Bob and Larry
The
both
Grand National.
judged the Grand Nationals a whole lot of years, and Jamie used to call back when I was a little kid going and watching. Jamie was still calling and competing back then.
And
I
she
think her
does. She
daughter's
takes the pictures
title,
for
her daughter
NWTF
won.
now.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's up there taking pictures.
Terrence.
Her daughter Emily, we used to call against each other.
Terrence, how many people would you call against in one of those big ones?
There's usually now the way the friction's grown, you have just as many people in the friction division at the Grand Nationals as you do
How many would that
the mount
be?
calling. It's usually between 40 and 50 now.
40 and 50 people.
That's cool.
Terrence,
I like
do you-
friction calling.
Do you host the Alabama
We do.
turkey
so-
calling competition? Is that your gig now or?
Yeah, so I lived in Tuscaloosa a few years after I first got out of college before I got smart and moved back to Pickens
hometown.
County. That's right. But while over there, they needed somebody to run the Tuscaloosa NWTF chapter for a few years, and I volunteered to do it. But I had one stipulation on that is we had went a year without having an Alabama state championship. It had been over in East Alabama, and that chapter had just let it go, and nobody picked it up. And I said, look, I'll be glad to have a banquet and help keep this stuff going over here in Tuscaloosa, but I want to have the state calling contest over here, and I want to bring it back and keep it going. And 12, 13 years later,
Still doing it.
we're blessed to still be able to host it.
Where do y'all have it at?
Over at Woods and Water.
Okay, yeah.
Right
yeah.
in the middle of their
I went
sales
to it
floor.
last year. Matt
Yeah.
went over and called in it last
Yeah,
year.
he called in Hunter Division Sounded good.
You have to be an Alabama resident.
You don't.
So you can go get in these states.
You can just go over there
Yeah.
when you get ready.
So a Mississippi man can go over and win Alabama title?
you can go and win the open.
I don't know if
You
we can win.
Okay.
You can go win a senior open. So we
Yeah.
break it up into two parts. The first half of the day, we have the state championship division.
That's just Alabama people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after lunch that day, we'll roll into the open divisions. And
Anybody can get in it.
Like Dave came over and called.
Okay.
He the year before, Dave actually won the Alabama State Championship while he was living here in Alabama, but he had moved back to Georgia, so he
that joker run a call, can
he can do it.
Yeah,
he sure can. But yeah, we had callers from 7 different states come and call in our senior open and open friction division this year.
How much different is competition? So let me back up. I know from just what I see that there's a big difference between, like in the waterfowl world, between the calling you do to kill ducks and what it takes to win. Is there that big a difference? It doesn't seem like there's that big for our listeners. In turkey, is it a little bit closer to
it's
a hunting
somewhat,
scenario?
It's somewhat closer. I tell people often that when I first got started, I got started to try to make my turkey season last year round. Yeah. Just like shooting my bow, like your archery range across the road, or to shoot your bow year round, getting ready for hunting season. But what I found was, not only did it extend your hunting season all year round, but it also, I don't care what anybody says, you can mess up on stage and not win a calling contest, and you don't have to be perfect to kill a turkey. But I've been blessed to travel and hunt with a lot of different people, and the more realistic you sound, the more you can get away with in the woods. You pair that with being a good woodsman that's grown up chasing turkeys through the woods, and also try to sound good. And it makes it where you can kill turkeys wherever you go.
That's good. That's a good point right there too.
And in the scenarios that y'all do on stage, as far as the fly down cackle and the
tree fly down, assembly.
You practiced all that stuff, but in the woods, you know when to apply it, how to apply it.
Well, that's the thing.
And that's what some of our listeners, they don't know what a fly down cackle is.
Fly down cackle. Here's a sidebar, but fly down cackle, I don't hear as many turkeys that seem like do a fly down cackle.
You hear that in the fall. You hear a hen.
Yeah, they're more vocal. That's right.
Yeah,
but I don't even.
But in the spring, they don't.
I don't really do a fly down cackle anymore. I mean, every now and then we'll hit a wing beat just to try to get.
Yeah.
Just try to actually, if I'm doing that, I'm trying to get him to fly down. I'm trying to go ahead and get him down.
I think that's got to do with more pressure. So if you're sitting there and it's early and you throw some kind of long yelp out there, it pretty much it's going to cut off. If that turkey's been hunted,
you roll the dice.
You just want to very lightly tree yelp just to just let him know that you over there, but you ain't fixing to
burn his cowboys off.
Yeah, you ain't finna just run your call, especially early.
Terrence, will you call it one in a tree?
It depends. There's situations that
turkeys are different.
Yeah.
Where am I at, or what?
If there's another one up there vocal and calling, that's where usually I'll take the cue. Like if there's another hen up there vocal,
not wanting him to go across the slough, but come on your side or something like that. Yeah,
that's right. There's times that I've poured it to them and it worked. There's times that I did that and they
sitting there to the level,
went the other way, or made them sit on the limb. But
it's hard not to. It's hard not to just give them a little bit.
It is, but there are times that it works, and there's times you just sit there and wait on to get on the ground.
And you're like,
some people are set on your hands till he hits the ground. Some people will do a little bit.
Yeah. I'm more likely to.
Brent's will sit on his hands. He don't like it.
I am once those leaves are out.
Yeah.
And that sucker can't see. I feel like he's gonna wait. If I call at him, he's gonna sit there and gobble all morning until he sees a hen walk under him because he can't see. And that's
I'm more of a tree. I'm gonna get up to him a little bit. I'm gonna let him know.
I am early.
I'm gonna get on whatever side I think he's going, and then I'm gonna let him do his thing for a little bit. And
once
then
it gets to be leaves on the trees, I'd rather.
I'm gonna give him a little bit.
Most times.
But you can read it. You can give him a little bit and he shuts up, and then just put your call up, or you can answer it. So here in a few minutes you give him a little bit more.
That's right.
A little bit more, and then you start working him. But sometimes they'll cut it off like a light switch.
Look, in calling competitively and studying it like that over the years, did you do anything with live turkeys or recorded? Did you do any recordings of turkeys and of hens to mimic? Who was the guy that got all those? I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Talking about the turkey man that lived with him for a while.
That's
had a sleeping bag.
Yeah, had a sleeping bag. Lived with the turkeys.
The Flatwoods, but there was Joe Hutto. But there was somebody.
So you had Mike Batty that got the. He does the Wild Talker stuff. He did the Spit and Feather stuff back in the '90s.
I think that may be what I'm.
Then you had Brad Harris. He did the I forget what he called his, but it was real turkeys. There was a lot of audio, and growing up, I bow hunted a lot. I chase ducks so much now that time of year, I'm usually brushing duck blinds.
He's a big time duck hunter. That's his gig.
But when I was first getting into contest calling and trying to get better at it, and I guess I need to get back to it and do some more of it. But I used to bow hunt a lot because those turkeys would be so vocal in the fall, I didn't pick where I was deer hunting at based on what deer sign. I was finding where those turkeys were roosted at, and I was going to climb a tree and hope a deer came by, so I could listen to the turkeys while I was bow hunting. And then later,
you learn a lot from the real thing.
You do. And later on, I had me some pet turkeys, and man, having your own turkeys in your backyard that you can go and listen to,
Jami
you get turkeys. So much. Yep. There's so much you can learn from sitting there listening to those turkeys. To me, that helped me more than anything. I had them I think I got them in 2016, had them till about 2019, and somewhere along the way, that's about the time I was blessed to finally win some of those bigger contests. Was when I was studying turkeys
and
more, listening to them.
I knew some people did really intentionally go take cues and study what real turkeys, real hens were doing.
It makes a difference on how you put the sound together.
The nuance of the cadence and the sort of the feeling, the personality in that call. And that's, to me, that's the biggest difference when you're in the woods and you hear that yelping.
Yeah.
It's not so much the tone, but it's the cadence of how they're calling to determine if that's a hen you listen to or somebody.
That's right.
I know we were talking earlier, we're kind of coming up on, we got the NWTF and Nashville's coming up. Are there a lot of regional? Is there sort of a season? Is there a contest season, or is it sort of scattered through the year? Or how's that?
So it's scattered through the year. There's usually some about now that are kind of a last chance qualifier. Somebody will put one on. The registration for the Grand Nationals, I think, ends this coming Friday. So there's usually somebody doing a last minute contest for people trying to get qualified, but this is about the time that the contest really start getting started for people working to get qualified for next year.
Yeah.
And
how do you what's that take? What's it take to qualify?
So you either you win a local contest, whether it's a local, state, regional. You either win it or you now they have rules. I think you can come in second or third behind somebody that's already qualified.
Yeah.
And it gets you qualified for the next year's contest, and you have to travel around to win one of those each year to
get in.
Qualified like
to call the Grand Nationals.
PGA, you got to do it. Stay active and
I used to travel around and call in them all the time. But once
you've won, do you get a bye? You good for a while. You have to qualify.
You do. If you win the World Friction or the Grand National Friction, it qualifies you for the preliminary round for the rest of your life.
Gotcha.
So once I was blessed to win that World Championship, that World Friction deal. That
you can show up in Nashville with the prelim.
Well, now I can focus on duck hunting more all the way until before the.
You ain't got to leave every
weekend. Which probably is not good, because now when I should be running turkey calls and practicing, I'm still sitting in a duck blind running a duck call trying to chase those. But man, I love both of them. It's just whichever one's in season. And honestly, this year, the way duck season's been this year, it hadn't been. I really hadn't had that distraction. I've actually started running a few turkey calls.
What do you think, Terence, on the ducks, as far as not jumping off speed? What do you think the difference is? We just don't have them.
They're not
right
here.
now. We're not here.
They're not here normally. And
you droughty where you hunting too? Is it pretty dry?
It is dry. Normally,
sloughs and.
Well, we've got several different impoundments that I've helped some of the landowners with. We put in some really good impoundments. We plant everything that you can plant for them, and we'll water stuff up for teal season.
Yeah,
and then we'll start watering stuff up in October, trying to catch that first push that usually shows up around Halloween. And
even our gadwalls aren't here yet.
But that's the thing. Normally after that first push, you're hunting the same ones for the first 2 or 3 weeks, but then more waves of birds start coming, and I just hadn't noticed it this year.
Yeah,
it's after we shot it those first few weeks,
rounds,
those same ducks over and over, we never reloaded. And I'm hoping this front that's coming this week, I'm hoping we actually get some.
We're about out of time, ain't we, brother?
Hey, we are running out.
Yeah.
You still got a lot of food?
We got a lot of old resident geese that are living around here.
Boy, they'll eat it, won't they?
And I planted a lot of corn and milo, and
they'll take it.
And they've been eating it up. So I'm hoping we got enough food to last us to the rest of the season because of that drought.
Yeah.
Some of our stuff we just got water on.
Yeah.
Right there, right 2 or 3 days before Christmas. So that stuff that just flooded.
We're pumping right now as we speak.
So that's the thing. All the stuff that we're just now getting underwater, we'll have food.
But instead of throwing your hands in the air, because I could have done it. I had tree fall in the blue hole. We couldn't pump a tractor. I mean, just
fell off in the water.
Fell off. It's just, but you work your tail off all spring, fighting army worms twice, spraying da. It's kind of like this. I'm not one to give up much, just like you.
Sure.
And you just said, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Yep. I may not have but 2 good hunts. But you owe it to them. But you owe it to them. But here's another thing. I love them, and Brent and Hunter loved them for years, But giving them something in February when they do get here, at least they got hey, he's helping me out a little bit.
That's right.
I just wish they'd extend it 2 more weeks.
Oh, man. And that's the thing. I'm going to keep planting the stuff. We're going to keep trying to get them here.
You got to do what you can do.
Some years they're here.
How long was it after season last year we went to your place? And it was
1 day. Remember that?
It was further.
Maybe 2. It was right after that. They have the veteran hunt.
After
that veteran hunt weekend. What was that,
February? We crawled up, looked at it in his impoundment.
500.
It was head to head. I mean, it was just ducks.
I mean,
everywhere.
week.
Look, I'm just glad turkeys can't migrate.
That's right.
Yeah, true.
Oh, boy, it'd be tough.
Only way they migrate is on the back of somebody's truck.
Oh, man.
But
now on a year like this, I've actually started deer hunting more, and that was refreshing to go and do this trapping this morning and to see the work that Hunter puts into that. My dad traps a little bit between deer and turkey season, but I've never, just with work and kids and everything.
That's a heck of what we caught today. That's unbelievable. I mean, really, you think about it. All those different species that mess up habitat.
Yep.
I mean,
man, that was really cool to see the work that he puts into it and to catch
some of the thought, that chestnut thought, where those traps are set.
Because I was riding in the truck with Hunter and we'd pull up to this one. He's like, "Well, I set this one trying to catch a cat right here, or I set this one where we'll probably just catch coons down here in this bottom right here." But you knew what he was explaining, what he was trying to catch at each one of the spots that we were going to. And it was all different setups, but it's all stuff that eats the turkey or eats turkey eggs. So no matter what we were catching, he's
or
helping.
A beaver that backed water up into a nesting site.
That's right.
I mean,
so everything that he's doing is just helping his population, and
that's what you got to do.
If our duck season, if they stay like this every year, I might have to start doing more traffic.
Ain't no doubt.
Yeah.
But no, it's.
I believe we'd be cheaper, Terrence, than playing with ducks.
I believe you're right. This year I've had to.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just going to have to do
the rich man's game now.
It's a lot of work. It
really
is. And I love the work. I love it, but it is that's
the thing. Summertime, I love getting on the tractor, planting the stuff for the ducks, and even spraying for them dang army worms. You spend more money in those chemicals than you will on the seeds that you're planting. Right. But
hey, don't mess around. Don't rub your eyes after you do it.
No, you got that right.
Son, let me tell you. I had to go.
You had to hit them twice.
I had them twice. I rubbed my eyes and rubbed my dang eyes twice. Man, they burnt my eyes slam shut, man. I looked like I'd been on a Cheech and Chong's movie. I was puffed up.
But no, I love spending the time planting.
Well, you love the outdoors. That's what you grew up doing.
Yeah. And just getting stuff planted and trying to grow as much food as you can for them, because I love watching them and taking pictures of them when it's not season. Now, when it's season, it's time for them to pay rent. It's time to shoot some, because I like to eat them too.
Yeah.
The same way for turkeys. I love trying to grow as much food as we can for the turkeys, and I think I want to get into doing more of this trapping.
It's sure refreshing to see those turkeys making a comeback, don't it? It feels good to see the place that you hunt. Are you seeing a lot of them too?
We are.
More than we have in the last 3 or 4 years.
I believe that. I think we had 2 good hatches in a row, and
that's
I think a lot more people are aware, and a lot more people are trying to do what Hunter's doing.
Yeah. On you got 2 young boys.
That's right.
And so that setting coon traps, that's something that they would eat that up.
Oh yeah, ain't no doubt.
I mean, and at the same time, you're helping your habitat. I mean, you controlling the controllables, like I keep saying. You can only do what you can do, and so that's just something that you and your boys can do for fun, and
so all right,
helping the turkeys.
So Terrence, you mentioned time at Woodhaven. Doing work for Woodhaven. Eddie Salter and Woodhaven. Can you give us some on your evolution through different call companies and the science? Could you
engineer? Yeah.
Well, I've been blessed to be around the turkey calling world for 35 years, and I've saw a lot just from the evolution of all of it. But it's been cool when I first started wanting to get into the friction side of it, Mike Pentecost of Woodhaven, he gave me a chance to call for him, and we traveled all over the country calling in those contests, and I'd go spend hours on a Saturday just running calls, and he was good to me. I called for him for 5 years, but like we were talking about, I love to duck hunt just as much as I do turkey hunt. Well, no, if you had to pick one, I like turkeys the best,
right.
but I do enjoy duck hunting.
Well, you're a woodsman.
I love it. I love
line,
being outside in it, and I wanted to be with a company that did,
like
that
us,
did
when
both.
we talk about who else is doing this on a Saturday.
Terence Williamson is.
They at the golf
That's right.
course playing, or is he out on that tractor planting that duck pond?
That's right.
Oh, we're gonna be planting something.
Golf bag right over in the corner.
I know he's saying that.
You see them cobwebs all over it?
He got them at a pawn shop local.
That's right.
I just wanted to act like I had them, so in case I ever needed them.
Yeah.
But no, after 5 years of Woodhaven, I had an opportunity to go to Fred Zink owned Zink Calls and Avian X decoys back in 2010. It was an opportunity to go to a company that did both. They
waterfowl.
Fred already made the best duck and goose calls, some of the best on the market, and he was growing his turkey line, and it was a chance for me to come on board and help him with the friction calls there at Zink, and I was blessed to be with them for 10 years, and we traveled from Texas to Canada chasing turkeys and ducks and geese all over the place, and we had a really good time. That was when Fred had the Avian X TV deal, and it was a fun way to see the country and to meet people and just
make a living.
Well, and I was still just saving all my vacation time up. I went to school to be a civil engineer, and I worked for the state DOT. And I'll save all my vacation time up, and that's back before we had kids. So I'd save about half my vacation time for turkey season and half for duck season, and I would use it to travel when we were doing that.
Yeah, methodical.
But it was a really good time, and things change, and Zink and Avian X sold out to one of the bigger outdoor corporations, and that's when Spence Halford had reached out to. Or some of his guys had reached out to Josh Grossenbacher, the guy that works with us with Rolling Thunder, making all the mouth calls.
He can run a call too.
Oh, Josh makes all the mouth calls that I hunt with. He's as good as it gets. But Spence was wanting to grow the Rolling Thunder turkey call line bigger than what it was at the time, and Spence had already had a good footprint in the waterfowl world, and he was wanting to grow the turkey market. And Spence was good enough to us to, he brought all of us that were on the pro staff at Zink, he brought all of us over to Rolling Thunder and let us all be a part of his team. And that was in fall of 2020. And we're still there with him now. And it's been fun to see what he's done with his company, and he's really grown it, and he's got his hands in a lot of different irons and the different fires, and it's been great to see what he's done growing his company, and it's been fun to be a part of it. I'm just a small part, running friction calls for him and working at hunting expos, trying to sell a few calls for him, but I really...
Yeah, but you've been doing it all your life, and he trusts you in that part.
And he's put together a great team. It's a bunch of good
guys.
That's right, and people that are fun to be around, that you love being in hunting camp with, and it's just fun being a part of it.
That's awesome.
So you going to you gonna call in up at Nashville?
Oh yeah. I guess a few years ago, because we were talking about the apparel stuff too. I own an apparel deal and a Dixie cup, or like this hat that I've got on, Dixie Rut. We've got a Dixie strut, a Dixie hooked, whatever you chase, hunting or fishing. We got some kind of hat or T-shirt with a logo for it. It's just while I was traveling around with these companies selling their stuff, I kind of wanted to sell something on my own, and I had the idea for the logo.
Have you got a website?
Yeah, it's dixie-life.com. And then we've got...
you may pull that up. We'll get you write that down.
We got Dixie Cup Facebook and Instagram pages. But I used to go up there to Grand Nationals, and I would have my own booth up there trying to sell stuff, because it is one of the biggest... That NWTF convention is one of the biggest outdoor shows in the country. And there's so many people there, but I just found that as something that it was a distraction that took away from me focusing on being up there to calling contests. So a few years ago, I just quit.
It wasn't the main thing.
Yeah. And I'm up there to call, not to sell caps and T-shirts. My deal was I'll work on doing that when I get back home. And I know we're missing out on getting the brand in front of a lot of people, not having a booth up there. But yeah, when I go up there, I'm going up there to try to focus on turkey calling for that week or that weekend. And it's man, it's a good time every year. It's almost like a family reunion because, like I said, I've been doing this stuff for so long, and it's that one time a year that you get everybody together, and a lot of people, that's the only time you see them. It's just up there at the
It's funny you say that at family reunion, and I'm not involved in it, but just hearing people talk, whether that's, I've seen some of the pictures Jami's posted from the 80s and all, but you take people like the Drury Brothers, Ronnie Cuz Strickland, like they were all on that calling circuit. Bob Dixon, late Bob Dixon from Mossy Oak, like those guys. Toxie was in some of that. Like you see those pictures, like they were on that calling circuit back then. That's a lot of the guys that are major in this industry. They're still in this industry, and there's still sort of a little fraternity.
That's right.
For lack of a better word, of those guys that were on that calling circuit. And
oh yeah, and I tell you
I've always appreciated that. The traditionalist in me always appreciated that. That'd be neat.
It's great. In the last few years, they've done that Grand National Hall of Fame, recognize them from cameramen to callers, the different pioneers of the outdoor industry, and it's been good to see those guys get recognized that I grew up watching.
Yeah.
And look, you can see I bleed bottomland. I love Mossy Oak, but as a turkey caller, Michael Waddell.
Yeah.
When I was a young kid, that's when Michael was winning all kind of stuff in turkey calling. Just to see what he's done, he's that guy that made it. If you're a turkey caller and you've been doing it for a long time, you can look at Waddell and say, that's the guy that started out as a caller, and now look at where he's at now. Yeah. He's a smart businessman and a heck of a hunter.
Yeah.
But he's that one turkey caller that took it as high as you can take it, and it's been great to see what he's done. But that all got started from just a local.
And now he's kind of running a show that he enjoys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He just does what he wants to do.
But that was a young redneck from Georgia that got in the calling contest.
And it was
somebody recognized that he was good at it.
And when there was an opportunity, he was ready.
That's right.
Yeah, he was in. He put himself in position. He was ready.
That's right. Give him that. So as a turkey caller, it's been great to see that, and I've saw him, come through all the stuff that he's done through the years, and it's been great to see that. And he represents a different camo company, but at the end of the day, we're all turkey hunters and we're all outdoorsmen, and it's good to see people do good. I enjoy seeing what everybody's doing, and it's
hard to argue with a fella got a position like that. I mean, that's how you ought to be.
That's right.
Yep. Well, what else? What did we not hit on? Anything you want to cover on calling, things coming up, things?
Yeah, well, we talked about that Alabama State Championship. That'll be this summer, but as we go into the Grand Nationals, that's the biggest one of the year, and it's really one of the first ones of the year. But then after that, there'll be local contests all over, and I'm going to try to start traveling to more of them. And
it would be neat to see. We've talked about this some, and I'm bad about connecting dots where maybe I shouldn't, but that to see more participation, from hunters, getting involved in calling contests. It's a lot like what we talked about with archery. Years ago, a lot of people got involved in archery, getting out shooting competitions and regional competitions, and there were associations. It'd be cool. I mean, calling contests are a lot like that. It'd be cool to get more participation from hunters, and all you got to do is sign up and go.
And that's the thing. I grew up shooting in those BHA tournaments. The only reason I quit shooting in bow tournaments on weekends was to go to turkey calling contest. When I was a kid, that was back when there was a Bow Hunters of Alabama chapter in just about every county. We shot over in South Pickens County down at Kirk, down at the fire department. About 2 Saturdays a month, there was a local bow shoot somewhere, and
we used to shoot dot shoots up at Ricky Pearson's.
At one shot.
That's right.
Shoot at one shot. Shoot Vegas dot shoots with Skipper.
Well, that's kind of the reason
I
started this over here. It's just everybody talked about how they used to shoot in one, but there wasn't one around. There ain't one. I don't know. There ain't one within 100 miles of here, probably.
No, I was glad to see that you did that. That's the thing. This coming summer, I plan on coming over here and shooting this coming summer, getting ready for bow season.
Guys that were shooting yesterday. I mean, it has got used. It slowed down a little bit.
The winter.
It slowed down a little bit when gun season come in, but now kind of people like us, we done about quit deer hunting. We're starting to trap and this, that, and get ready for turkey season. And the ASA shoots, which this is going to be a qualifier for 3 or 4 places, for the ASA. So them guys are starting to roll in here now, and they got a place they can come that's down the road versus driving, way
2
off.
hours away,
And so it's giving more people the opportunity to shoot ASA that wouldn't have got the opportunity because they didn't have nowhere close.
Yep.
Yeah. And even with calling, making that parallel to calling contest, if there's a new turkey hunter, you're new to turkey hunting, you're kind of feeling your way through it, you're watching stuff on YouTube, man, if you go to one of these calling contests just to watch, you pick up a lot, just that network and talking to people that call a lot. I mean, everybody I've talked to that I've met over the years, either at the outdoor shows or at different calling contests, the people that are there and doing it, they ain't trying to keep secrets from you. They'll talk to you, give you tips. I mean, it's I've never seen somebody shut you down. You come up and asking questions.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Now you're talking about Mr. Bobby and the Mossy Oak guys, the gamekeeper guys. I was talking to Bobby a few weeks ago. He was asking about that because, like at our state contest, we have a hunter division. We had more people calling that hunter division than any other division we had there this past year. Is local guys that are good turkey hunters that want to come dip their toes in the water of a calling contest and just see what it's about. And
just measure yourself.
Yeah.
And
when we're putting the call list together for that one, you're not doing a fly down cackle or a kiki run. You're going to give a guy a plain yelp or a cluck and purr, tree yelp. You're going to give calls that you're using in most hunting situations, and you're going to let that hunter get up there and do that and just showcase what he does and just see what it's about. And that's how you get started.
They still do the owl hoot and the gobbler too. You got kind of the side things too.
Yeah, we still have those, just kind of break the day up. And we have people that drive from all over to come call in those that's all they want to do is owl hoot or gobble. Hey, they're hardcore about it.
My owl hoot sounds like hoonan. No, it don't sound good, but it makes turkey gobble.
Makes them gobble.
Hey, as long as it makes them gobble.
Every time Chris does it, I think he drops something on his toe or something.
It sounds good, Hunter.
Man.
Oh, he's hard on you today, isn't he?
Nah, I don't care. I watch that dude tear roads up all day. That's all right.
Now that he's talking about that, I might have heard you from across the road over at Ballard's once or twice in the past. Some of them sounds.
That's it, man. Them a wildcat sounds.
I hear you.
There's an owl down there hooting right now somewhere. Them some jokers hoot all day.
They do that.
Yeah. Well, man, Terence, I appreciate you coming on with us. It's been good meeting you, spending some time with you. It's again, man, one of my biggest takeaways from this time with you and with Dave, and let's just talking, is just how I really appreciate those turkey hunting circles and how those networks and those that they overlap, and it's just neat. I mean, there's we all know somebody, and it's just a neat family sort of turkey hunters.
Man, it is, I just appreciate the invite to get to come and spend the day with y'all. When Hunter called me, I was actually picking up decoys. We had been duck hunting one morning. Was one of the few mornings that we had a few ducks. We were picking up decoys when he called, and he said, "Hey, man, this first week of January, we're thinking about doing some trapping in the podcast." And I'm sitting there thinking, man, we're probably going to get a good cold front. There's going to be ducks everywhere. But I said, but yes, I was curious, though, because I've never done any trapping. And just to get to come and see the work that he puts into it and see what it's all about. Yeah. I'm really glad that I came and got to be a part of it. And I appreciate the invite from you guys, because it was fun. And it makes me want to look into that more. And I may not give up my duck season to do it, but in that window between deer and duck season and when turkey season starts.
There's a long February.
Yeah. Hunter's got to tap all his stuff.
There's half of March you can
after deer season.
You can do some damage in February.
February and March, you can make stuff happen.
Yep.
And that's the thing, when I'm going and putting out running cameras and scouting for turkeys, I can take the kids up to camp and we can put out some dog-proof traps if nothing else, and try to catch some coons on the weekends. And it makes me want to look into doing more of that to try to do my part to help out with some of the rest of it.
Sounds good.
We probably, I don't know, we got some deer stuff coming up and more turkey stuff, but just in case we don't hit back on trapping hard, I don't want to miss the opportunity to plug. We're right here. We're West Point, Mississippi, and Duke Traps. We know them. We're lucky enough to be right here, but I can't say enough about that product. He's not. We're not sponsored by Duke Traps or anything. We go up there and we buy our traps just like
we send people
else.
up there to get them.
But we'll send you up there quick. That Duke's DP,
no
that
dog people
trap
I've sent
has made
Dukes.
coon trapping so easy. I mean, you can go get a dozen
Ain't no doubt.
and a bag of cat food or bait. You can get real bait.
What I like about it, you can go
in.
you can go in the door. They welcome you. They talk to you.
They good
you can
people,
go in
too.
the back.
Yeah.
You can pick out what you want. Come back. It's just. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, and if you're not,
it's like no other.
Yeah, if you're not
store
here close,
you
you can
in.
order it.
It's
all the trap.
it's
Duke's
just
carried and
they just. It's so welcoming when you go over there. It's just. And you can get some chocolate covered peanuts or pecans.
I can tell you've had them. I mean,
yeah, I know that. But I know box.
Hey, that pecan syrup pretty good too.
It is.
It is good.
It is
I'm
good.
telling you.
I ain't never had
Oh
that.
man, it is good. It's solid now.
I'm gonna try that.
Pecans, it's fine. It is good. There's been a many turkey saved because of Duke's traps.
I know that Duke 650 is good too.
It is good. It ain't good on your hand.
No, that big male coyote didn't like it too much.
No, but it helped. Y'all was worried about him going somewhere. I said,
I was worried about that cat.
I was more worried about that cat.
I was the one leaning down getting it when he came from.
Now that bobcat gets to run and go.
And y'all handed me the phone. He's looking at me. I'm like, hold on a second.
Well, you were holding a white tiger.
I was, and it reversed me out. Gets him. He's like, he don't like that now.
Man,
that's tough.
But
all right.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
hey, thank y'all.
Terrence, I appreciate it.
I really enjoyed this.
And y'all stay safe. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.